guided by the fighter mentor. At 7:42 a.m., someone received a message that could completely change their day. She read it. She stared at the screen for a few seconds, and she didn't reply. Not because they didn't know what to say, but because they knew that replying at that moment would mean getting into a conversation that would likely take up the rest of the morning. They set it aside. They opened what they needed to finish and carried on. 2 hours later, the message was still there. Nothing had fallen apart. No emergency had happened. The world kept on turning. If this makes sense, give it a like, click the bell icon, and subscribe to the channel. That same day, somewhere else, a completely different situation was unfolding. A man was standing in front of a broken vending machine. The drink was stuck. He inserted a coin. He tried again. Nothing. He tapped the side lightly. Nothing. He looked around. No one was there. For a few seconds, the frustration began to grow until he realized something. The machine didn't need more force. It needed someone to stop repeating the same motion. He took out the coin. He looked at the instructions. He realized he'd chosen the wrong option. He changed his selection. The machine worked. He stood still for a moment. There was nothing extraordinary about that situation, but perhaps that was precisely why it was so easy to ignore. That night, a third incident would occur without anyone realizing it had any connection to the previous two. A mother walked into her son's room after noticing that the light was still on. The child should have been asleep, but he was sitting on the floor, surrounded by drawings. He had started one, then another, then another. None of them were finished. The mother asked, "Didn't you like any of them?" The reply came softly, "I liked them all." She looked at the drawings, and she realized that the problem wasn't a lack of creativity. It was an excess of possibilities. Instead of choosing which drawing to finish, the boy had started them all. That night, he chose just one. The others stayed on the floor. They weren't thrown away. They weren't forgotten. They just waited. The next morning, the first person still hadn't replied to the message. The man with the machine went about his day, and the drawing remained on the table. 3 completely different situations. 3 different people. None of them was trying to become more productive. None of them was following a perfect routine. None of them was looking for a miracle technique. And yet, there was something connecting the 3 of them. A message could be answered immediately. The machine could be pushed to its limit. All the drawings could be finished at the same time. But none of those things had to happen right then. This is one of the quietest problems of modern life. We don't just have more things to do. We have more things try to decide for us what we should do first. A notification suggests, an algorithm recommends, a message demands, a tool offers, an opportunity arises, another disappears, and before we know it, we spend the whole day choosing between things we never decided were important. Maybe that's why so many people end the day exhausted, without having done what they really wanted to do. There was no shortage of activity. What was missing was selection. The mind wasn't designed to treat every possibility as a priority. When everything remains open, nothing gets enough attention. And this has become even more evident in recent years. Artificial intelligence tools promise to speed up tasks. Apps promise to organize our lives. Platforms promise to save time. But there's one question that almost never accompanies these promises. What happens to the time that's left over? Often, he simply takes on more projects, more messages, more decisions, more expectations, more output. The pace picks up, but mental space shrinks. Maybe productivity isn't about cramming more things into the same day. Maybe it's having the courage to leave some things out. Breathe now, slowly. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out for a few seconds. Don't choose anything. Just notice how many things keep trying to grab your attention, even when you're not responding. If this makes sense, give it a like, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Maybe you don't need to tackle them all. Maybe some just need to stop being priority. Discipline at this point takes on a new meaning. It's not about forcing your mind to work harder. It's about teaching your mind that not everything deserves your attention. Focus doesn't mean closing your eyes to the world. It means choosing what can remain in view. Consistency also doesn't mean saying yes every day. Sometimes it means repeating the same no, even when something seems interesting, even when everyone else is doing it, even when there's a fear of missing out on an opportunity. Because a life can be destroyed by an excess of good things just as much as by an excess of problems. Not because opportunities are bad, but because no life can truly give its full attention to everything. That message could have been answered. The machine could have been pushed to its limit. All those drawings could have been finished. But each of these people made a different choice. They didn't try to do it all. They chose what would continue and let the rest wait. Perhaps maturity is exactly that. Realizing that choosing one thing also means accepting that others will have to wait. Without guilt, without anxiety, without turning every missed opportunity into an emergency. Modern life offers too many possibilities. The challenge now isn't figuring out how to do everything. It's figuring out what doesn't need to be done. And perhaps that's where true mindful productivity begins. Not when you manage to control every minute, but when you stop giving every minute away to something that just happened to come up. In the end, the three situations were never about a message, nor about a machine, nor about a drawing. They were about something much bigger, the ability to say, that can wait. Because those who try to respond to everything end up living according to everything. But those who learn to choose begin little by little to regain their own direction. And when that happens, the world continues to make noise, but can no longer decide on its own where the attention, time, and energy should be focused. You don't need to control everything that comes your way. You just need to decide what's worth keeping. Because not everything that catches your attention deserves your energy. And not everything that comes up needs to become a priority. Sometimes, preserving what matters simply requires letting the rest go